Discover the power of faith with Path of Faith, your source for spiritual growth and enlightenment in a world filled with uncertainty and doubt. We're very concerned about eschatological salvation after death, and this is naturally contradictory. I don't even need to worry about salvation after death if I live well my life, if I zeal for the context of my salvation, if I do not allow the diabolical structures to have ancestry over me, or come grow inside me. Particularize this. When I ensure that my being is dipped in a process of transformation, conversion, if I am living the dynamics of this baptism, it is natural that I love. It is natural that I want good. It is natural that I do not sow discord. It is natural that I do not sow discord. It is natural that I know how to control my vanities. It is natural that I know how to control my pride. It is natural that I do not want to lie. In Jesus, and knows very well that living the dynamics of Jesus is precisely to deny all this. It is not wanting it as part. It is not wanting to be part of these miseries, isn't it? Then you, somehow control your Adamic dimension that does not die, that is inside me, which is within you. When we open the doors of what is bad, we get lost. But when a word guides us and reacts within us this commitment to the life that every human being should watch over to maintain, we are saved. So the word is saving. The word has the gift of putting us within a context of transformation, change, which also means salvation. Living identity is, there is always a being that precedes what it does. This is identity, because it is reflecting our humanity that we will approach this entity that we so much need to live. There is no other way. I don't know. I can't be holy if I don't touch my human issues, if I don't improve them and modify these structures. Sometimes we can have this wrong understanding that God is proposing a burden. No, God is giving us privileges. Have a heart similar to His, and it is possible. Grace acts in us, and we assume the responsibility to cut these ills, to cut these weeds that grow in our personality, to overshadow the resemblance. Then it is possible for me to have a heart similar to His. This is Christian anthropology. When teaching me, the Church teaches me this, that in history, in time today, in the daily life I face today, I am the guest to legitimize the presence of Jesus in history, and that my being is the place of conversion. It is here in my thinking, in my brain activity, in my intellectual motives. This is where my heart hits, where all my feelings are processed, where my sensations also exist and help me to be who I am. That the first dimension of Christianity is form. It is Christian formatting. We could use a modern term, wouldn't it? When you format your computer, what do? You transform it. You remove it. You clean everything that was there and you project it for a new time. That's what baptism does to us. He removes us from an ancient condition and formats to a new life. So, from my baptism, I am dipped in this new way of being of Jesus. I say again, the Word of God guides us. And because it guides us, it saves us. And today, God saves us, inviting us to have a heart similar to His Son. It is no damage. It is a privilege. The orientation, my people, whenever she is loving, she has the saving power. A father, for example, can save the son of many bad things. It is enough for him to be aware of the guidance he needs to do at that moment of the person's life, the child. Be he a child, whether a teenager or even a young person or even an adult, the word saves because it guides. She has the gift of reorienting the way. Just before, here in Matthew 5, Jesus speaks of the Beatitudes. Blessed. Blessed expression can also be translated as happy, and can still be understood as well referred. Then God's word has the power to save us because it guides us. So she is the word of salvation. I am saved every time I am advised to act in a right way. Every time I can choose better, I'm being saved. When the word guides us, My people, it creates within us a context of reducing action of what is evil in us. And what saves us is the changes that make us better. When I want you well, I am providing you with who you are and at the same time helping to remove the excesses that harm your being. Asking God to conceive of us the grace to have a heart similar to his Son. And that is our purpose daily. When we put ourselves on this Christian journey, another thing we don't want, but to assume this similarity. God does not put us burdens. He relieves us, because this is a natural consequence of the one who strives in the process of change. We get lighter. Having a heart of Jesus means having a lighter heart. Having a heart similar to his, we give up the hatred that weigh us, the grudges that hurt us. And then we get, assuming a human lightness that is a very interesting project. That it is a very intelligent project that only the wise will know how to understand. We do not have the right to lose our lives with people, situations that make us lose. It was himself who told us, it is worth winning the world if you lose your own life. It is worth winning the world if we lose our lives. You may be thinking, and it is true, at many times in your life, you were unhappy because someone denied what you were. It didn't give you the opportunity to be who you were. Then, my friend, is a disaster. When we are not interpreted in a right way, when the eye looks at us the same way it looks at a wall or a picture on the wall, or it looks at us as if it were a decoration object in his life, you run the risk of being objectified, lost its identity, ceased to be, entered the dimension of doing in the most cruel way a human being can enter. And sometimes we are tired and life gets a burden for us, because we lack this courage to break with what makes us lost. You are a sacred territory. To say that you are a child of heaven, even if you have already missed a lot in life. Even if you have already failed a lot, it doesn't matter. Today is the day to remember that you are a holy territory. And by recognizing that it is a holy territory, you have the right to undo all the irregular camps that have happened in your life. People who arrived, structures, mentalities, things that were suddenly taking care of you and who they turned into an object. A good of consumption. Unfortunately, you got used to living like this. But you know very well inside, deep in your heart, you know that this discomfort needs to end. Because it is at stake, and we do not have the right, no, virgin, to play with our realization. We don't know how long we have, right? How long do we have to be who we are? We won't be wasting time with not being or realizing the other's dream, because he imagined me like this. No. Life is urgent, and we need to live with great disposition the opportunity to be today. Here. Right now. Today is Jesus telling us this. Come to me, all you who are tired. Because when we are choosing wrong, we really get tired. It is always very exhausting. It is always very exhausting when we have that perception of being in the wrong place, doing what is wrong, with the wrong people. It's tiring, but you are not a missed case for being tired. And it offers this possibility of giving rest, of offering us this rest. And how do we rest, my people? Is it getting accommodated? No. No. We can rest when, with great awareness, very responsibly, we walk towards the right context. When you speak, look, from today, everything around me, everyone around me needs to facilitate my salvation. Because at some point, you can find out suddenly through this program, through a reading you do, through a word, you suddenly find that you are living the condition of object, and that in the condition of object, no happiness may be possible to human life, and that we do not have the right to objectify anyone, nor accept to be the object of the other. It is life, and it's so beautiful when we find out with each other. Wow. Sorry. I'm objectifying you. I'm not leaving your being free. I'm not allowing you to be you. And love is born of this ability to respect these limits and to understand that the other is in the process of transformation. Not what I want, but in what God wants for him. And in this consists of human love. To accelerate God's desire in that person's life. For that we love each other, no it is. Then we always identify looking, as we propose, that in our lives we need to review our way of living constantly. It is a conversion exercise. We shed a light on our way of life and have the courage to recognize where we were not similar. What was today's attitude that, instead of making him advance in the resemblance to Jesus, made him back? What was the word you said today that it did not make you like Jesus? What was the thought? What did you think today? Even in the relationship with others. You can observe. Many times we don't change the attitude, it's because we don't change the way of thinking. It is interesting how much it is really true when I have difficulty living with someone. If I do not change the way I interpret the other, it won't change my way of treating it. I bump into it all the time, my people. You know very well. Accompany me. You know how public. My life exposes me all the time. And I need to have a lot of security in being so I can do what I do. And from time to time, it bumps into my life. Through a letter. Through an email. But the moment I am not interpreted the way I need to be, I have every right to set that limit. Why? The other is not interpreting me the right way. I am not an consumer object. Even as a priest, even if I have to donate my life, I am not an object of consumption. Sometimes we are so cruel about what we think with our prejudices, our distorted images of the other. We are very spreading. We are not similar to Jesus. Because if we look at the way Jesus related to those she's, it was always a welcoming, loving sometimes, but never losing tenderness and love. In fact, the hardness of Jesus made sense only because he wanted the good of the people. Sometimes we are hard is not because we want good, it's because we are really cruel. It's no use you want to modify your action if you have not changed the root that causes this action. It is much deeper. It's no use you trying to change a concrete and practical attitude if you don't change the reason for the attitude that is in being. Being is the house of all reasons, isn't it? Love is born in being. That's why what we do, our love gestures, they are directly linked to our being that loves. This is why the heart, when he is used to loving, when being always projects to solidarity, love, to fraternity, he will be very easy to do good, because somehow he is already orchestrated for a greater interior motive. Which radio in that situation? The gesture I make, it can be beautiful, maybe even kind, but it may have no love. Why? Because there is often a connection between my heart and my gesture. And when will I get the graces of having a heart similar to his? When life is difficult, guys. When someone offends me, then it is not when someone praises me that I learn to have a heart similar to his. It is when someone offends me. When someone hurts me with a gesture, with a word, when someone cheats on me. When the cross of loneliness weighs on me. When someone injustices me. When someone bends me. When someone bends me. When someone concerns us. This is when we will have the need to have ours. And you know that I keep thinking that in life we are very lacking in situations that provoke our being. Because sometimes we do so much, we work so much, we fall into a life of so many activities that we risk living without knowing what we are. Because practical life often encourages our doing and not our being. And that's why I need to have my moments of cultivating who I am. This is why religions teach us meditation, silence, prayer, contemplation. Then if you leave the field of religion, you enter the field of art. For example, you go to a show, you will watch an opera, you will watch a theater, a musical show. All this is giving you a forgetfulness of what you do and a memory of what you are. Good music makes us dive into the context of being, and that is why our human maturity depends on these visits we do when it is. Because it is in the being that we change what it does. That's why it's good for us to listen to people who are committed to the good of us. She won't fool us. That's why it's good to live, work, divide our lives with people who are committed to our good. Because you will strengthen this salvation within you. There are many people who are interested in our perdition because they don't love us. They are not committed to our personal truth. They are not committed to our life project. They do not treat us anyway. You are not an object of consumption. And often people approach us with such a greedy desire to be our administrators. Why? You are playing you wrong. Many weddings go wrong because of this. Because her husband interprets the woman as a good of consumption, does not interpret her as a human being who has desires, who has dreams. So, the attitude often that curtails, that it assaults. It will only be modified the moment your husband looks at his wife and interpreting her in a new way. There is freedom, and in freedom we can be brothers, we can be friends, we can be happy. Because no one is prevented from being. This is why Jesus speaks. And he advises his at that time. Particularizes that word today. Think what this word represents in your story today. Look at the most intimate context of your history today. Particularizes this. Are you facing today? Have you faced situations, established ties today that favor the context of your salvation? Or favor the context of your perdition? It is possible to be very concrete in this reflection. So, before doing what Jesus does, I am invited to be who he is. This is the boldness of the Christian proposal for me, for you. And by saying that I am the Son of Heaven, I am assuming in my life the commitment to be with Jesus. And then, of course, I will have the same gestures he has, the same attitudes. But the word first is to be. I'm Christian. And because I am a Christian, my attitudes will be born naturally Christian. Naturally, it is a difficult word because our crystal gesture is not always natural, but it is because the conversion often be. Because the Christian life is nothing but you take care of daily the context of your salvation. Take possession of it. Being saved is that you what in the context of your salvation. Then you look at the life you live. The people who have authority over you, influence you, the books you read, the music you listen to, the program you watch. What we let in our head and heart, this is the context of your salvation or not. It is the context too. It can be the context of perdition. It's no use. We cannot deny this human context is where God can act, or he can be deprived of acting. But by assuming this commitment to not lose sight of the being that you need to live and experience all the time and dive, when we look at Jesus, we find out who we should be, as we should think. But there Paul said that we have attitudes of Jesus, we need to be like him. Then, what does he say? That we need first transform our mindset. Having a heart similar to that of Jesus may seem to us a candid thing. Far from us. Is this for the Beatos? No. To have a heart similar to his is to have a heart that is able to ensure the context of our salvation. And again, we are not just talking about eschatological salvation after death. Also, it's just that she is actually just a consequence of living well. Sometimes I find people a cause you could continue and then you give this chance. Instead of looking at all the causes for your withdrawal, you look at the only cause of your persistence. Fall in love with this cause. It does not allow life to make you forget all this. Love every detail of this cause and fight for it as long as it is, because the most beautiful will not be to the end, is that you identify that in today beauty of this cause. And I remember my people that my ordination was very popular. There was a lot. And the new song conveyed, and had a show with almost all Catholic singers in Brazil a day earlier. It was a great thing. And a few days before I was a priest, I met Father Roberto at the Assisi Toca. And that man called me. He called me in the corner and said, "Fábio, I won't be able to go to his ordering, but I know that everything is being prepared with great affection. But I would like to give you advice. The moment you make the first consecration, at the first Mass, you say to Jesus like this: Lord, we'll end the party. It will end everything, and it will only be me and you. There you will be a priest. Because it may be that in the midst of a lot of confusion, it may be that in the midst of a lot of party, many friends, you forget the main one. My people, I can only be a priest as I look into Jesus' eyes and still in love with him, by his word for his teachings, because it is impossible to be a priest if I am not in love with Jesus. So I cried too much when I was there in his land. Went to know the land of my best friend. To know the land that made man, that I believe. I put all my life in the word of Jesus. I believe in him. There is no one in this world that has made me more than Jesus. Looking at him, to see his ability to love the miserable, my people, to look at the worst and enjoy them. To be able to look at a woman, a prostitute in the middle of that crowd, and to be able to love her even the moment she doesn't deserve to be. To make a dwarf down from the tree, he, the smallest of all, in every way, a miserable thief, and to say that he had 1,001 Vidas to choose from. He tells him and speaks, "No, I want to stay at your house." Contrary to the rule, the Jesus I fell in love with, he was able to resurrect people, not those who were dead, but those who often, like me, like you there, how many times have you also needed to be looked into your eyes, and that someone be resurrected? His body was not dead, but his hopes had been dead for a long time. Hey, my God, how many times have I been looked by Jesus through my friends and priests? My friends who made me believe that life was still worth it. Father Leo, how many times Father Leo was Jesus in my life? And can I only be a priest if I stay in love with him? Can I only be a priest if I remain oriented by the word of Jesus, even if I have all the most shameful sins in the world? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what sins you have, no matter what sins I have. The important thing is that we do not lose our eyes of those who seduce us, the one who seduces us, he that makes us change. It's the same thing, my people. If I'm not able to fall in love with my cause every day, I stop being a priest. Even if I keep celebrating Mass, even if I keep wearing like a priest, even if I keep meeting confessions, even if my records bring Father Fábio de Melo there, I risk being, even if I don't announce, even if I don't quench the cassock. I will stop being a priest the day I stop believing what Jesus did in me and what he gives me to do in his life as a priest. The same thing you. I don't know what was the choice of your life, but you stop being a wife on the day you ask for your love for husband? Do you stop being a friend the day you ask for love for your friend? Love is what gives the glue. The rest is hypocrisy. The other day we're asked, Father, do you think that person did it? Did that go to hell? Who am I to say? And God forbid, I don't even want to guess this story, because I am sure that ultimately what makes us be on the side of God, what makes God want us on his side as much as we loved, it's how much we were able to donate for what is important. It is not the formalities of religion that save us. No, guys. Formalities of religion any hypocritical person fulfills. The easiest thing you have is to be hypocritical. It is you to get in line, that you commune, that you get in line, that you confess, that you get in line, you make it. Is lifting your arms the same way that everyone else? Challenge? Challenge is that we live in intimacy for real love. When we are able to get out of ourselves, when we are able to recognize that they made a mistake. Just like today. Today I had one. When we get too tired, we have the explosions. Right. Which are proper to those who are very tired. Then today I was very annoyed with a person I love so much and says, then I curse. I'm horrible when I'm angry. But after passing, I cry, because the saddest thing for me, from the bottom of my heart, once again, I want to use my sincerity again. What hurts me most in this life is knowing that I took someone's sleep, knowing that I was rude to someone, knowing that I hurt someone. Why? That's what hurts me most. 2. If I said a gross word, I can be sure that I get destroyed later. But I learned that in life the best way we have to deal with all this is to take on fragility and then fix it. So I don't expect anything. Give me an opportunity, and I already want to ask for forgiveness. But this is hypocrisy. No. It is not. We know how to deal with the limit we have. We are still in love with the cause. My God from heaven, I preach forgiveness all the time. I speak of mercy all the time. Because if I leave it, I have nothing to say. My people, if you remove God's mercy in my life, I have nothing to advertise. I have nothing to sing. I have nothing to say anything. Because what seduces me most in God is your ability to be merciful. Then I ask you, how will I be able to be a priest? How am I going to continue? There's no way to. Just like the other day, I was there in Green Arch and we lived such an unpleasant situation at the beginning of the show. So unpleasant that I was sorry for the people who was there. Because the sound was horrible. People. It was a wonderful sound, but without someone to drive the business. It is a plane without pilot. And then I left the stage. According to the song, I tried to flood. The deal was getting angry. Only before I left, I gave a tenderness to the sound boy, which was there on the side. And that was really rude. I was full of reason. And said all of that was the basis of my reason at that time. By the time I went up, I came back to the dressing room. I still cursed a while there later. And I was giving me that sadness. I was giving me that, right? Because I'm fast, both to get angry and to be calm. And then when it comes to going up to continue the show, I didn't have to take that microphone. I didn't really have. I couldn't continue. I had nothing to say. Then the first thing I did, I'm not telling me to me. Vanglorian, I'm telling you to share. Which for me is important. Then I got there and the sound boy, I called him. He got my face like that, like, ready. Will give me other colleges before starting. Then I hugged him. I said like this, my friend. Forgive me. Because if you don't forgive me, I can't continue what I'm going to do now. Then he smiled at me. Go there, a boy, rest assured. Hit the shoulder. So ready. My people, if we don't fix it, we can't keep loving their cause. How many times in your life things have not been ahead because you were not able to? For the love of your cause, come back and fix what you needed to fix. The wedding goes down the drain when we are not with certain things at the right time. The maternity winds down. The life of priest goes downhill. The life of consecrated goes downhill. Because the love of the cause is precisely the attitude of attitude. We show that it loves as our attitude is consistent with what we say love. Otherwise, it is hypocrisy. I say again that I don't know what your religion is, but I know that every religion has a precept to fulfill. We have to go to Mass every Sunday. Now, one thing I know, no matter what they are, they can't save us if they are not united with our ability to love. It is no use going there to confess my sins, receive an acquittal, if I do not change in relation to the sin I told. Ah, priests. I stole. Then I go there, I pray, Ave Maria, everything is right? No, I don't really believe it. My acquittal, she will come, you know how. Of course, in the sacrament I get. But especially in what I return from what I steal. It is inferred practice, just like the desert. Just like the desert there in the Galilee. Love to the cause is just like the drop that is being judged all the time. Then we have to wonder every day, what are the causes that I still, what are the reasons I am still able to die? What are the causes without which I am not able to say my name? Ready? It's simple. You know yourself. What is cause for which you can die today? Do not die taking away your life, but giving your blood, your effort, your struggle. I won't give up because this is what I love. That's what I want. How the Father is able to stop drinking. This is the attitude that is worthwhile in life. Everything else is in danger of being hypocrisy. Mask in our face. Mask that falls over time. Just as makeup can be removed. We don't want hypocrisy, even if we are often in it. Even if we are often indifferent to our causes. Because sometimes our indifference is so acute within ourselves. We cannot be indifferent to what we love. The projects you have, not indifferent to them. They are your soul. If you want to find out a beautiful way to understand the concept of soul, soul is all that moves. What in your life moving? What in your life doesn't let you stand still? What in your life still arouses sense? I will not give up because of that, this, that. Ready it. There is the morphology of your soul, the shape of your soul. Your soul has a name. Your soul has color. Your soul has a name. Your soul is size. Sometimes a woman has her soul in a child. Motherhood, she brings so much life in a woman's life. Why? She looks at that little child and she knows that her life is now connected to this new life. It's soul. How much you as a mother did you would not do any person in this world, and you did it for your children. Soul move you. Children are like soul to move us, to bring us back. And that's it. Then we are making our land be holy. We will make our lives valuable, precious. We are building our meanings. And then you find out, you discover this beautiful way of falling in love that you always bring before your eyes why you don't give up. I'm sure you have a lot of problems in life. We all have. And you have serious problems. We all have. You have enough reasons to say today, look, this is raw material for anyone to give up. And we even give you reason. But I'm sure you choose well. You find out. You are afraid of the bridge? Do not be afraid. After that bridge, there is a reality that you will only know if you have the courage to overcome. Fears often have the power to paralyze us. But the bridge is there. And as long as you fear it, you won't be able to get to the other side. So don't be afraid. Challenge yourself to get there. There are many places that are prepared and reserved for you. And God makes a point of putting you on your lap and getting you there. With the strength of his son Jesus, who is a humanity expert. Jesus specializes in humanity. Jesus specializes in crossing dangerous bridges. And we go with him. Pour the Almighty God over your life. His blessing, he who is Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Amen. By the way, I keep thinking about the mystery of this continuity. Beautiful, we think we realize how people are still inside us in such an intense way. People don't end, and they will not end as they remain loved. When you realize that your speech is impregnated by the wisdom of a woman who has never attended school. My mother had no opportunity to go to school. My mother frequented, it seems to me, that only until the 3rd year, if I'm not mistaken. And yet, I keep seeing how, when I lose the smart speech, when I don't have much left of what I studied, what helps me is what my mother taught me. Maybe you can even say this to me, right? How many times the program worked because my mother was here. When we keep people alive inside us, almost as a way of doing justice, a way of giving voice to those who do not have, a way to lend the body to those who cannot be here, just as we can resurrect those who have gone away. The other day I was thinking, my mother knows like this. She knows how much I loved Robin. And I remember that when he died, she was the person who was the most by my side. So in those days, because she knew how much we were friends and she always told me that, it was a friendship she admired a lot. And I keep thinking thus, in this capacity, that sometimes life gives us the other to continue within us. We no longer know how to say the name of us without remembering the names of others too, right? When you realize that by a mysterious force people have died, they no longer exist. But somehow they are legitimately represented in what we are. And I thank God so much for that, I thank God for the opportunity to experience in my flesh what the disciples experienced, the mystery of the resurrection of Jesus. So how many times did my mother rise Jesus inside my heart? I remember, one of the important moments of the trip on the Holy Land for me was when we were going to enter the Holy Sepulchre. I remember that day I had pilgrimage with another group, which was not what my mother was. Then I ran. When I got there in the Holy Tomb, I ran. I looked for where she was, because I wanted to get in there inside with her. There are a maximum of 3 people together, because in my experience of man, in what was not easy, I'm not afraid of what I suffered, what I suffer. Even today. Right? And I see it like that. I remember, and we played that stone together, Just as so many times we played so many things together. And I was thinking, right? What is the great meaning of Christ to us? Is that he resurfaced, he won the death, he won the precariousness, and then touched that stone of knowledge. The mystery came here. Here is the origin of what we believe. The origin of everything that makes me say what I say is there, in that stone. In the resurrection of Christ. But the resurrection of Christ, I could only understand why one day a woman was risen me too. It was risen the moment we were too small, and we couldn't articulate life the right way. She raised me the day I didn't want to stay at school, because I was afraid of loneliness, to stay away from her. She rose to me the moment my sister died. She rose to me the moment we saw things then go wrong indoors. She raised me the day I wanted to be discouraged from life. She was risen. Just as she tries to resurrect my sister, she tries to resurrect my brothers. And if I speak in their name, I'm sure they all love deeply and admire my mother. And that's the beauty of life, right? Enter there in that holy sepulchre with the woman who taught me everything I know about the resurrection. Not because it made me read in the books, but because it lent Methy resurrection in his ability to be a woman, to be a mother, to generate me again. I think you who are mothers, you have the power to generate us all your life again, because sometimes we need to be born again. It's not a few sometimes in life that we need to be born again. And born again, sometimes it's so hard, right? So hard. I see there with my sister. As much as you look at her and say, what's going on, right? Not to want to live anymore. To try against your life. It is so difficult to be born again. Sometimes we have the easy answer for us, but it doesn't fit the other. And almost have to bring to the womb again. Have to bring to the womb. It's like losing a child, right? The desire seems to be, before the dead son, to put it inside the belly again to see if life comes back. There are a few times, my people, where we are like that too. Life seems to escape us. Even today I talked to this with Leo. As today, people are weak, right? As people today are unwilling to live. How suffering has been the cause of defeat for so many people. And sometimes our experience of looking into the eyes and rediscovering a meaning for us to go ahead. And it is only possible with who we love, see? There is no other way. And it is only possible when we look into the eyes of those who love us, who knows all about us, or who knows much of what we are. When you lend. Look, I know it's hard for you today. I lend you a little bit about me. I know that today you can't afford to stand alone. I lend you a little bit of me. Lend me a little of your smile, right, at the time of my pain. Lend me a little of your tear. Lend me a little about your laugh. We need to do this all the time, because this is the great meaning. Sometimes we stay. There are so many questions we have here. Father, how do we do it? Father, how do we do it? Father, sometimes the secret is simple. But it is because it is too simple that sometimes we do not understand that we want very complicated things. Sometimes Christianity is only possible when you look at Jesus and see that he lent all the time. I don't know how long Jesus will have to lend me his smile. It may be that mine comes back tomorrow, but while I don't have it, I get his. This is Christianity. I don't know how long I will need Jesus' hope. It may be that tomorrow I return to his. But this is the most beautiful meaning. Jesus looked at people and lent them what was missing, as well as in the nearest neighborhoods. Lend me a little spoon of sugar for me to finish sweetening coffee here. Lend me a little spoon of salt, otherwise can't finish lunch. How many times have I heard it at home? The neighbors, my mother, with the comadres, one lending to another the seasoning that was missing to finish lunch. But sometimes, my people, the spices we need are others today. Today, sometimes what is missing in our closet is not material. Today, what is missing within our pans is often not the food. What is missing in our life is not only the material, but then we don't know who to ask. Many times, we even have the freedom to materially ask for something from someone, but when it enters the spiritual field, what our eyes cannot see, it is difficult. How are you going to go to someone and talk? Look. Lend me your house for today and to stay there quietly with you, just as I did this week. I fled, I needed a house, a family, and went where I know I have. Not that in my house I don't have it, because I was far from where I was. But when you go, so you are one more. When you realize that you need someone to lend to you a little fraternity and you are not having. Search. Sometimes our needs are minimal. Sometimes you stay there in the corner, right? In your life, in your suffering, also losing your desire to live. Just like my sister. And suddenly you need someone to lend you a smile. That's what Jesus did. And in that was his landlord. And in that was his ability to pour the crowds. And in this falls all over the power of religious denomination, because deep down what is left is people. No matter if we are Catholics, no matter if we are Spiritists, Evangelicals, Buddhists, atheists. What is left after all? This is people. It is heart suffered. It is heart. It is heart that needs attention. Is sick heart. Lonely. Sometimes we need some things we are even ashamed to ask. I know. Sometimes what you need in life is so small that you are ashamed to ask. But then maybe it's time for us to change our way of looking at things, people. If I forget what Jesus teaches me, if I forget what Jesus makes me believe, if I forget what Donna Anna taught me about him, if I remove the stone from that holy sepulchre, if I forget what happened there, I have nothing, absolutely nothing new to invent, to say and to solve here, to propose. No. Now, when we look at Jesus and we find that he has a huge ability, because if he has and I can have from what he offers me, my mission as a priest and as priest, I know that so many priests watch us, is his religious mission. It is his Christian mission. The possibility to approach someone who doesn't have what you have. So today, I'm full of hope. I'm full of joy. I get closer to those who have no borrowing. But it's not that loan that we get back. No, it is the loan that is mutual. Just as I'm giving something, I'm getting it too. And that's what I said. We continue. In people, we don't end. We don't end. We go like this as if it were a continuity exercise. We go to the bridge. People are like bridges, see? People represent in our lives the same as bridges represent on roads. There are some roads that we can only continue because there was a bridge to carry on us. There are roads and places that can only be known if we cross the bridge that separates us. I remember one of the biggest fears I had in my life, my people, was in iron bridges. Do you know these railway bridges that cut cities many times? One that has there in Ant to this day. And I'm not ashamed to say I'm afraid to this day. Because that bridge, she was famous for being dangerous. She was on the Formiga River, there in the Vargem Grande region. And there the train passed. So if we were caught in the middle of that bridge the moment the train passed, my God, from heaven. And I was very afraid of that bridge. So much so that the other side of the asphalt, the other side of the bridge, was a place that was fascinating to me. Because it was a place I had never gone. I remember the first time my brothers caught me on my lap. I remember it was Camilo, who was with me. He was going a lot in that region. When he put me on his lap, he was another bunch of his friends. Some more of mine. He made me cross the bridge, but he took me on his lap, and I looked down at fear. That dread of looking at those spans, right? The iron bridge, it is full of spans, and those logs of wood, where they pass and the track go. If my brother had not put me on his lap, I would never have had the courage to cross. That's why I say, people are like bridges who help us cross, who help us overcome fear, that helps us go forward. It may be that at many times on your road, you don't go forward because
From all of us at Path of Faith, thank you for being part of today's discussion. We value your input, so please share your thoughts in the comments. Show your support with a like, spread the message by sharing, and subscribe to stay connected with us on our journey of faith.